Imagine like a co-pilot who can not only tell you about traffic, but also like what the weather's like at your destination, or find you the best dinner spots, and even like suggest the perfect playlist. Pretty futuristic, right?
That's pretty good.
Well, that future might be closer than you think. Today, we're diving into the world of AI in cars, specifically how ChatGPT is changing the driving experience in Mercedes-Benz vehicles. And get this isn't some like sci-fi concept.
Yeah.
This is tech that's already in beta testing in over 900,000 vehicles in the US.
It's really fascinating. It seems like Mercedes-Benz is really determined to push the boundaries of what we can do with voice assistants in cars. I mean, they've even said that. They want to break the mold of those sometimes frustrating and generic voice assistants that we're all used to.
Oh, yeah. Like, they're not just trying to add another voice command feature. They want to create a system that feels more like
actual
intelligent
conversation. Exactly. It's about making the AI context sensitive. So, in simple terms, that means that the system can remember, like your previous questions, and use that information to understand follow-up questions without you having to rephrase everything.
Okay, I think we need an example here. Can you paint a picture for our listener? Like, how would this content-sensitive AI actually work in a real-world scenario?
Absolutely. So imagine you're driving to a city and you ask, hey, Mercedes, what's the weather like at my destination?
Yeah.
Now, with a typical voice assistant, you might then have to say something like, okay, and will I need an umbrella?
Hey.
But with this ChatGPT integration, you can just ask, will I need an umbrella? And the AI remembers that you were talking about the weather at your destination, and it will give you the answer without you having to repeat all those details.
So it's like having a real conversation.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to constantly restate what you're talking about. This sounds way less robotic.
Yeah.
And way more user-friendly.
Exactly. A more natural and intuitive interaction. And keep in mind, we're talking about a huge rollout here. Over 3 million Mercedes vehicles are slated to get this upgrade.
Wow, 3 million. That's a massive shift in how we interact with our cars. But I have to admit, while all of this sounds super cool, I can't help but think about the security and privacy implications. I mean, we're essentially giving an AI access to our conversations and potentially a lot of data about our driving habits.
It's definitely something to consider. Anytime you have a system that's collecting data, especially in like a personal space like your car, it's crucial to scrutinize how that data is used and protected. But it's important to note that Mercedes-Benz is taking steps to address these concerns. They're using Microsoft's Azure OpenAI service, which is a cloud-based platform known for its robust security framework.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't tech wizards, can you break down what Azure OpenAI means in terms of keeping our data safe?
Sure. Think of Azure OpenAI as a secure vault, where your conversations with ChatGPT are stored and processed. Microsoft has stringent security protocols in place to protect this data from unauthorized access. It's not just some random server sitting in someone's basement. Plus, Mercedes-Benz is only storing your conversation history for 1 hour to further protect your privacy.
That's reassuring to hear. So using a reputable platform, and they're limiting data storage. But does that mean all our data is totally safe? And there's nothing to worry about?
Because I have to be honest, I'm still a little skeptical.
It's always wise to be cautious when it comes to data privacy. While the measures that Mercedes-Benz is taking are definitely positive steps, it's not a guarantee of absolute security. There are always risks associated with any technology that collects data. Right. And I think it's important to highlight that Mercedes-Benz has received the Privacy Not Included label from Mozilla for its data collection practices. So while they're taking steps to protect the data from our conversations with ChatGPT, there might be other types of data being collected that raise privacy concerns.
That's a very important point, and it's something potential buyers should be aware of. So while the conversations you have with ChatGPT might have limited storage, there's the question of what other information the car is gathering and how that data might be used, whether by Mercedes-Benz itself or potentially shared with third parties. We'll dive into this in more detail later.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a bit of a balancing act here. We have this amazing potential of AI to enhance our driving experience, but also these legitimate concerns about data privacy that we need to be aware of.
Exactly, and as this technology evolves, we're likely to see even more features and functionalities emerge. But with each new capability comes a new set of questions about how data is being used and protected.
Okay, well, before we get too deep into the potential risks, I want to come back to the cool factor for a minute. Because honestly, this whole thing still sounds pretty mind-blowing to me. Beyond asking about the weather or needing an umbrella, what else can you do with this ChatGPT integration? Give our listener a sense of what's possible. in everyday use?
Oh, the possibilities are pretty extensive. You can get turn-by-turn directions. You can find the nearest gas station or EV charging station. You can even have the system search for a specific type of restaurant in the area.
So you're telling me
Yeah.
I can be cruising down the highway and ask my car to find me the best tacos in town?
Exactly. And it's not just about finding places. The system can also provide you with real-time information, like traffic conditions, estimated arrival times, and even alternative routes if there's congestion.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal navigator who's constantly updating based on real-time conditions.
Well, let's say you're not in the mood for tacos. Maybe you're on a long road trip and you just need a break. Can this AI help with that? Absolutely. It can suggest rest stops along your route. It can help you find hotels or points of interest. It can even read you the latest news headlines or play podcasts to keep you entertained.
Wait, hold on. Did you say it can read recipes, like step-by-step instructions,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm driving? Because that sounds both amazing and slightly terrifying.
It can indeed, though I wouldn't recommend trying to cook while you're behind the wheel. But you could, for instance, ask the system to find a recipe for a specific dish, and then have it read you the ingredients while you're at the grocery store.
Okay, that makes more sense. So it's not just about convenience while you're driving. It's also about integrating with your life outside the car.
Precisely. And speaking of entertainment, it can also act as your personal DJ, suggesting music playlists based on your mood or preferences. It can even learn your tastes over time and tailor its recommendations accordingly.
All right, so let's face it. This technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we drive and interact with our cars. But I want to circle back to that privacy not included label from Mozilla. What specific data collection practices led to that designation? What should our listener be aware of?
That's a great question. And it's where things get a bit more complicated. So while Mercedes-Benz has been transparent about limiting the storage of your conversations with ChatGPT, the Mozilla label points to concerns about the broader ecosystem of data collection within the vehicle. And this is where the potential risks become a bit more nuanced. For example, the car might be collecting data on your location, driving habits, speed, braking patterns, even the radio stations or streaming services you use.
So even if I'm not actively using the ChatGPT feature, the car itself could be gathering all sorts of data about me and my driving.
That's the concern. And while some of this data collection might be used to improve safety features or personalize the driving experience, there's also the potential for this data to be used for other purposes, such as targeted advertising or even shared with third parties.
Okay, that's where I start to get a little uneasy. Because even if I trust Mercedes-Benz with my data, what about these potential third parties? Who are they? And what are they doing with my information?
That's a very valid question. And unfortunately, it's not always easy to get clear answers. Often these data sharing agreements are buried in lengthy privacy policies that most people don't have the time or expertise to decipher.
It's like signing a contract without fully understanding the terms and conditions. You're agreeing to something, but you're not quite sure what you're getting into.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be aware of these issues and do your research before making a decision about buying a car with this level of AI integration.
So for our listener who's thinking, wow, I really want this technology, but I'm also kind of freaked out by the data privacy implications, what advice would you give them?
I'd say the first step is to carefully read the privacy policy provided by Mercedes-Benz. Look for specifics on what types of data they collect, how they use it, and whether they share it with third parties. You can also research independent organizations like Mozilla that evaluate the privacy practices of different companies.
That's good advice. Knowledge is power, as they say. And I think it's also important to be realistic about your own comfort level with data sharing.
Absolutely. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's a personal decision based on your own values and priorities.
Okay, so we've talked about the amazing capabilities of ChatGPT in Mercedes vehicles, but also the potential downsides. When it comes to data privacy, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, wouldn't you say?
It really is. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities that this technology unlocks, but we also can't ignore the potential trade-offs when it comes to our privacy.
Yeah, and this is a conversation that goes beyond just Mercedes-Benz. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, from our cars to our homes to our phones, we need to be having these discussions about data privacy and security.
You're absolutely right. It's not about one company or one product. It's about like a larger societal shift that we need to be mindful of.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think the most important thing is to approach this technology with both enthusiasm and a healthy dose of skepticism. Don't be afraid to embrace the convenience and innovation that AI can bring, but also be an informed consumer. Ask questions, do your research, and make choices that align with your own comfort level when it comes to data privacy.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on. This technology is evolving rapidly, and it's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged in the conversation about how AI shapes our world.
Absolutely. The future of AI is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it responsibly.
So for our listeners out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you feel comfortable having an AI like ChatGPT as your co-pilot? What features excite you the most? And what concerns do you have? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of AI in cars, be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon for more explorations into fascinating topics just like this one.
And while you're at it, hit that like button and share this episode with your friends. The more we talk about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the exciting and sometimes complex world of artificial intelligence. Thanks for joining us.